Our scripture this morning comes from Luke, chapter 15, verses 1 through 10. This is my favorite passage in the Bible. I've heard that necessarily. You may watch and go follow me along on the screen. Luke 15, 1 through 10. Now all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to him. And the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling and saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable, which one of you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that is lost until he finds it. When he has found it, he lays it on his shoulder and rejoices. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, "Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost." Just so, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over the 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. Or what woman having 10 silver coins, if she loses one of them, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? When she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I have lost." Just so, I tell you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Please pray with me. Lord, I ask that you fill me in this sanctuary with the Holy Spirit this morning. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable to you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Have you ever noticed how popular lost and found boxes are around town? I mean, you find them in your churches, stores, restaurants, offices, movie theaters. There's very few places you go that you don't see a lost and found box. There's one reoccurring problem, though. Usually what the people find is not what they have lost. People tend to lose wallets, purses, mittens, homes, physical possessions. We manage to find ways to lose them, whatever they may be. Some people seem to lose their cars when they come out of a shopping mall. I'm guilty. I forget where I parked, and I come out and I go, which road did I turn on? I still remember going to Kentucky Fried Chicken with my husband. When we got there, I had my purse on the back of the chair. Something I never do. And we ate, we got up, we left. We got to the next store. I reached in the back seat for my purse and it wasn't there. So we flew back to Kentucky Colonel, and fortunately, somebody had turned it in. Everything was still there intact. I'm telling you, I did a lot of rejoicing in my head, but I stopped for the moment. Thank God, because that is really scary, especially when it's all your personal ID. Well, when my husband, Terry, and I lived in Munising, the Alger County Search and Rescue Squad got a call to go out and look for a lost hunter. It was on Thanksgiving Day. Of course. Terry and our four-wheel drive truck was part of the team that endured a long, cold night in the woods east of Pictured Rocks. They found the hunter safe and sound the next morning around 11 a.m. And Terry told me he would never forget the look in that man's eyes. He said it was a look of gratefulness and relief, a celebration of being found, but at the same time, that macho male was quite evident. That's exactly the way he put it. Right in the middle of being thankful, he told them they shouldn't have worried about him. He was just fine and knew how to take care of himself. Well, Terry proceeded to ask him if he had a compass, and he said no. Well, God had provided Terry with a good one and the sense to carry it with him. So he said that he looked the guy straight in the eye, reached in his pocket, and handed him that compass. He told him to never go to the woods without a compass. And I hope he took Terry's advice, because this has been many years later. But the world is full of lost people, and most of these lost souls have problems far worse than losing their car in the parking lot or spending a cold night in the woods. They have missed the meaning of life. Lost people are everywhere. They look at you with hollow eyes on the street. They slink into alleys just so you can't see them. They hunch over in the halls as if they are carrying a weight of the world on their shoulders. If there are so many lost souls in this world, why are we doing such a lousy job of reaching out to them for Christ? I ask myself that many times on a personal level. In the reading this morning from Luke 15, we'll start with verses 1 and 2. Right away we see the clash between the Pharisees, being religious and respectable people, and Jesus being a faithful person. And he said, now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear him, but the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. The Pharisees strictly followed the Jewish religious laws and customs. They believed that God's will was revealed in the Torah, the first 5 books of the Old Testament scriptures. This is where all the laws on how to conduct oneself were contained. They felt that an individual would obtain salvation by observing what was revealed in this law. The Christians then and Christians now have a different belief. We believe that God's will is revealed in Jesus, and a person can only obtain salvation by believing that Jesus is the Son of God and following Jesus' teaching. This clash between the Pharisees and Jesus began when the tax collectors and sinners came to hear Jesus. Jesus welcomed them and made plans to eat with them. Now we have to remember that in Jesus' day, going out to eat with somebody was not like it is now. We could just hop in the car, go down the street. They didn't have the restaurants to go to or invited dinner or luncheon to be held. In those days, these dinners or luncheons were always held in private homes as an expression of fellowship. And we do that too with our friends. Just think about it though. Jesus was going into the homes of sinners. People who did not necessarily go to the synagogue. People who did not regularly go to church. As far as the Pharisees were concerned, these people were sinners. They didn't obey all the laws and traditions of the Torah. And according to the Jewish beliefs, these people were unrighteous. They could never receive salvation. Jesus was eating with sinners. Oh my. The Pharisees actually recognized Jesus as a rabbi, a teacher of the law. But a teacher of the law was also supposed to be an example to others by following the law. And Jesus did not do that. Jesus was teaching us a new way to bring others to God by going into a sinner's home and eating with them to show them that they were acceptable to God through forgiveness. Jesus was eating with the sinners, and these respectable religious people, Pharisees, did not approve. We're a little bit like that. Kind of like the Pharisees when we judge others because they look different, they talk different, possibly they smell different from us. And how about the ones that make bad choices in their life? And their life is a mess. Or those who are addicted to a lifestyle that hurt themselves and hurt the ones that love them and love them. We can think of plenty of reasons to focus on our own kind of people, can't we? But that is not what Jesus is teaching us to do. In verses 3 through 7, Jesus tells us the parable of the lost sheep, the shepherd, and his joy about finding his lost sheep. He says, suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Does he not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he does find it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and goes home. Then he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, rejoice with me, rejoice with me. I found my lost sheep. I tell you that in the same way there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over the 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. Shepherds in Judea had a hard and dangerous task. Pastures were scarce. The narrow central plateau was only a few miles wide, and then it plunged down to the wild cliffs and devastation of the desert. There were no restraining walls or fences, and the sheep could wander anywhere they wanted to go. A shepherd was personally responsible for the sheep. If a sheep was lost, the shepherds must bring home at least the fleece to show how it got. The shepherds were expert at tracking and could follow a stray sheep's footprint for miles across the hills. For any one of these shepherds, it was all in a day's work to risk their life for their sheep. Many of the flocks were, they called them communal flocks. They didn't belong to individuals, but to the entire village. They usually had 2 or 3 shepherds in charge. And those flocks that were safe arrived home on time and brought news that one shepherd was still out on the mountainside searching for the one lost sheep. The whole community would be on the watch for his return. And when they saw him coming, in the distance, with the sheep draped across his shoulders, they would all rise up with a shout of joy and thanksgiving. It was a great celebration. This is a picture that Jesus drew of God for the Pharisees, for his disciples, and for us today. This is what God is like. When a lost sinner is found, there will be a celebration in heaven like none other. There is one fruitful, wondrous thought in what Jesus said. God is truly kinder than mankind. The Pharisees wrote off tax collectors and sinners as beyond hope and deserving of nothing but destruction. But not God. God loves the ones who never stray away, but there is joy of joys when the one that is lost is found. It is 1,000 times easier to come back to God than to come back to the bleak criticism of man. Jesus strengthened his point by telling another parable just in case the first one doesn't sink in. Now, teachers of today will probably appreciate what Jesus was doing because they use the same principle in their classrooms with little ones. If they don't understand what you tell them the first time, you have to find another way to explain it to them. You tell them the same story, but in a different manner. So Jesus told the parable of a woman who had 10 coins and lost 1 coin. And he goes, or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Does she not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost coin." In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. It would be very difficult to find a lost coin in the Palestinian peasant's house. The houses were very dark. They were lit by one little circular window about 18 inches across. The floor was nothing but dried reeds and rushes on top of the dirt. Now you can imagine what it would be like to try to find a lost coin in a place like that, especially if the coin was small. It would be like trying to find a needle in a haystack. There are 2 possible reasons why this woman hunted so hard for this lost coin. Now the first is that even though the coin couldn't buy much, it represented more than the day's wages of the average working man in Palestine. These people always lived on the edge of things, and very little stood between them and real hunger. If she didn't find the coin, her family wouldn't eat. Now that's one scenario right there. But the second possible reason is a romantic one. The mark of a married woman was a headdress made of 10 silver coins, linked together by a silver chain. Now for years, a young woman and her family would scrape together to amass these 10 coins. The headdress was almost the equivalent of her wedding ring. It was hers to wear, and nobody could take it away from her, even in payment for a debt. If this was one of the coins that she lost, you can imagine why she was searching so diligently. She was doing as any woman would do that had lost her wedding ring. When she found it, she called all her friends together to rejoice because the piece that was lost was found. This is the kind of God that Jesus told the Pharisees, the disciples, and is telling us about today. It's like the joy that is felt when we see a shepherd coming home with a lost sheep over his shoulder. It's like the joy that the woman felt when she found her most precious possession with a value far beyond money. No Pharisee ever dreamed of a God like Jesus described. A great Jewish scholar has admitted that this is the one absolute new thing that Jesus taught about God, that God actually searched for lost men and lost women. The Jew might have agreed that if a person came crawling home to God in shame and prayed for forgiveness, they might have received it. The idea of a God that would go out purposely search for lost sinners would never have occurred to them. They only knew the God of the Old Testament. For the 99 faithful members in a church, there is still joy to this day when one that is lost is brought into the life of the church. That's the kind of church Jesus needs for us to be. A church where there is a joyous commotion every time someone who has been outside the church's fellowship makes his or her way home to the Father's house. I'm sorry, this is very personal for me because I left the church for 7 years and when I came back to San Antonio, so just bear with me. There is joy in finding what is lost. And yes, there will be rejoicing in heaven when one that is lost is found. A party will be thrown by God. A celebration will happen. We shouldn't give up the search for a lost brother or sister, no matter how difficult it may become. How would you feel if you were the person that was lost? And a righteous band of Christians gave up on you. You probably wouldn't think they had much faith in what they claimed to believe in. Don't let Christ down by giving up the search. God didn't lose faith in us. He gave his only Son for our salvation. Can't we be like the shepherd looking for the 100th sheep? Or the woman looking for the lost coin? Keep our eyes open. Watch for the opportunity to bring the lost sheep home. Then let us celebrate and have a joy